I'm nervous.
I want to put on socks.
Do you?
Do you think it's going to pick up?
No.
Great. Okay.
I think if we were wearing... I thought about this earlier. If we were wearing shoes, it wouldn't pick up.
Yeah.
I mean, it would pick up, but not as much as is going to. That's how I cook. And somehow food gets made.
So what you're gonna
let's
do
drink.
is
Let's cheers. Water.
to
hydration. We went in two different directions there.
We did.
When you're having a bad day, all you want to do is have a laugh. Well, here's a treat for you. The boys are here, and we can't wait to turn your day from gross to great. We're the Soy Boys. Soy great.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome to the Soy Boys.
This is Soy Boys. This is, I'm Nicholas.
My name is
Reese.
Paul, and we are
The Soy Boys.
This is a podcast where we cook and talk, but we're not always going to talk about cooking.
Because, let's face it, I don't know how to cook.
We know enough. We know how to make food.
We
but
can
this
survive.
This isn't binging with Babish.
No.
I'm not going to teach you how to cook.
No.
I'm going to make
not
some...
going to teach myself how to cook.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to make spaghetti.
Sure.
Speaking
a classic.
of which, what's on the menu today?
What's on the menu, Nicholas? What are you doing?
I'm going to be making some linguini,
Sure.
actually, not spaghetti.
Right.
And I also have some pre-cooked chicken that I'm
Nice.
going to throw in the sauce for some protein.
Nice.
And no vegetables.
Linguini and sauce and chicken. I also see some Parmesan Romano. Is that going to come into
There
play?
is some Parmesan Romano. I'm also going to throw some red pepper cornflakes.
Peppercorn flakes.
Peppercorn flakes.
That's my favorite cereal.
The sauce.
Red peppercorn flakes. Start your day off with a burst.
Started off with a burn.
I will make you red peppercorn flakes. But what it's going to be is a bowl of cornflakes, in which sits some simmered milk with Frank's Red Hot. It clears out the sinuses. Is a good way to start the day.
It does.
What's on the menu? Thank you for asking. I'm making some chicken tacos today. They're going to be more of like a fajita style because it's there's like some peppers and onions happening.
Sure.
I don't have lettuce and tomatoes and guacamole and things. I don't have a mise en
does?
place. This isn't Chili's. This is our kitchen.
This is not Chili's. I wish it was Chili's, though.
Speaking of which, we're not sponsored yet, so Chili's.
Chili's, if you
Big fan of a good appetizer.
love your ribs.
But we're not eating them tonight because we're cooking in our kitchen.
We are.
And on that note, I'm going to get started. Nicholas, I haven't seen you today.
That's true.
How was your day? What'd you do? What were you up to?
It's fine. I had a class today.
Cool.
For those who don't know us, me and Paul are actors
Yes.
in New York City.
Sure.
I was just taking some class today.
Sure.
And actually, it was really funny. So we're going on, my family's going on a cruise.
Oh, wow.
I've told you that before. Have I?
I've forgotten if you have, so...
Great.
Pretend I know nothing.
Hey, Paul,
What's up?
guess what?
What's up,
my
buddy?
family's going on a cruise.
Oh,
and
well, to bed.
in June,
Sure. Where are you going?
we're doing a Disney cruise going to, it's a European cruise. We're, going out of Barcelona.
Wow, that's so exciting.
I'm very excited. I've never been out of the country before except for the Bahamas.
Compost your vegetable scraps, kids.
That was the compost. Welcome to our kitchen.
Compost.
So we were talking after class. It was a Dear Evan Hanson class.
I've never heard of that.
It's this up and coming
Really small hit.
really small hit. No one knows about it yet. It's pretty underground.
It's the best thing
And
ever.
there was this kid. We were talking because I guess the new 16-year-old that they just cast is about to start his contract.
Sure.
And we were talking about are they ever going to cast anyone below the age of fetus ever again? I was like, well, they just cast the Toronto production, and the guy, one of the Evans, is mid-late 20s, so we have hope. And then we were talking about Toronto, and one of the guys was like, oh, I love Toronto. Yeah, I went up there for when I was working on the Disney Cruise Line. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm about to go on a Disney cruise this summer. He's like, wait, when are you going on the Disney cruise? I said, in June, it's a European one. He's like, I'm going to be on your cruise.
Performing?
I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm performing on your ship.
Wow.
So, met one of the actors on the cruise today.
It's crazy. I mean, I know everybody in this business says it's a small world and it keeps getting smaller, but that becomes more apparent to me every time I meet anyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah.
Sure, that sounds like a really cool day.
Yeah. Class was fun.
Great. What'd you learn?
Did
Did you learn how to sing? We already knew, but did you learn how to sing Ben Platt?
No, I didn't, because no one can.
Right. Hey,
Hey now. This is what dreams are made of.
Nice.
I
love Hillary Duff.
What did I learn? Stuff. I don't know.
If you're listening and you taught the class, I promise you learned something.
I have my notes in the back.
Sure,
I
but
just
we're
don't
in
have
the
them
kitchen.
with me.
I'm gonna rinse my hands.
Great.
And that's over.
So I did that today.
Sure.
Then I came home and laid in bed and...
What'd you do there? Did you watch anything fun? Did you play any?
I didn't play anything.
Cool.
I steamed. I watched some of the clips from Rent Live.
Okay.
I watched Over the Moon and Take Me or Leave Me and I'll Cover You Reprise.
Maybe the three best moments of the show. Or three contenders. I think, in my opinion, I'll Cover You Reprise was the best moment of the show.
That's what I've heard.
Yes.
The full show was... I was hoping it would be on Hulu, but it wasn't
On
yet.
Hardlore?
On Hardlore. But it wasn't yet, so
Sure.
I wasn't able to
Watch it.
watch all of it.
Let me get some onions out of the fridge. Need anything from the fridge?
I got all my stuff out already because I'm prepared.
Wow, alright. I'm not...
Prepared?
These are Trader Joe's pre-diced yellow onions.
So Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's, we go to you often. I'm a Kroger kid, born and raised. Always went to Kroger growing
We didn't
up.
have Kroger. I'm
What
a
did you
Walmart
have?
kid. We did
Or
Walmart. Walmart grocery.
That's an underrated phenomenon. Walmart groceries.
They have...
Well, the prices are unbeatable.
Exactly.
Except maybe by Trader Joe's.
Honestly.
Trader Joe's, the reason I brought it up is because Trader Joe's was kind of an anomaly to me because you go in and everything is Trader Joe's brand.
Yeah.
The only thing that I saw that wasn't Trader Joe's brand was Emergency, and it was more expensive than anything else there.
Right.
So it's smart to go to Trader Joe's and buy the Trader Joe's stuff because I bought a full load of groceries for like $46.
Yeah,
that was
I can
incredible.
like feed myself for 2 weeks for like $55.
Great.
Which is incredible. What was your day like, Paul?
I met up with some friends. I went to Midtown and got some coffee.
I wasn't there.
No, you weren't because you were learning how to be Evan Hanson.
I also am not your friend, apparently.
That's
so...
infactual. I've never heard of least true,
less true.
more false statement.
That's the one.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. I'm unemployed. I met my friends, Virginia. You know Virginia.
I do. I love Virginia.
And Dylan in Midtown. We got some coffee.
Some coffee.
And we hung out for a long time. And then I went to Best Buy and I got an adapter to record this podcast from my cell phone. And then I met you and started chopping some peppers.
Wow, what a day.
Thank you so much. I suppose we should delve into the format of the show, and I think we should start by telling the folks at home not only how we met, but how we started cooking together, because it's not something that everybody does. I think it's a big portion of our friendship.
Yeah.
Is cooking together.
So, sorry. We met doing a production of Hello Dolly in Missouri.
Rollamo.
We lived in the Actor House together there.
About a block and a half from the theater. It was great.
It was wonderful.
We could just walk on over.
Just 3
Walk
minutes
on
before
over.
call. 3 minutes before call, we just run over there.
I wish you were lying. I wish I was more on time. Because I hate being late, but boy, I was never late for call. I'll say that much. That's not true. I was late once, but I blame that on our friend Colin Stansky.
So we met doing Hello Dolly, and we were both in the kitchen one day.
It was the first week of the contract. It was a 4-week contract from me. Because I was at the theater doing Hello Dolly, and then that was it.
Right.
You stayed for the next 2 shows.
I did.
I left after 1.
So we were... Oh, I need to put some salt in this water. I just threw my, linguini in the pot for any of you keeping score at home.
Sure, and I'm just working on some garlic over here.
So we met doing... Oh my god. I'm going to say that 16,000 times.
So we met doing Hello Dolly.
So, like, the first week of our contract, we were like, hey, let's, why don't we just, like, go live on Facebook while we're cooking?
But do you remember why we were at home and wanted something exciting to do?
Oh, I do. So there was this, golf thing.
It was a mini golf tournament. The stipulations of which were not explained to us because ultimately they didn't apply to us. It was something related to the theater to which we were not.
It was for, like... different departments of the theater were all invited. Like, the artistic director was there, some of the teaching artists were there, the director of the show was there.
Had something to do with the town of Raleigh.
Yeah. And we were not invited.
Which is fine.
But in
if we were...
in the moment, it hurt.
If we had been invited, we wouldn't be here right now, probably, doing
Exactly.
what we were doing. Because that day,
Yeah.
I mean, we had to make dinner.
And let me say, we had no reason to be invited.
That's true.
So we were sad that we weren't
Invited to this mini golf
mini
tournament.
tournament.
Mini golf, incidentally, is one of those things for me that if I haven't done in a while, I think, let's play mini golf. I think it's very, very exciting. Let's go play some mini golf. And then by the 7th hole, I go, wow, I forgot how much I don't like mini golf, especially in June.
I've told you that I wrote stand-up about mini golf. You knew this about me, right?
Yes,
That
I've
was
never
one
heard
of our
it.
first conversation. It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Nicholas
I was
Harris.
going to go watch it, and I didn't.
Okay.
Cool. Maybe I'll watch it.
Maybe I'll watch it. So
I'm going to mince this garlic.
we went Facebook Live.
Sure.
While we were cooking. We were on there for like a good 45 minutes, probably.
Sure.
Just chatting away.
Just chatting. I think that was just one of our Facebooks, right? Like it was your account,
It was
and I
my
shared
account,
it from
yeah.
mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not the last time we did that because we
It
had a
isn't.
solid viewership of people from all walks of life.
About 6 people, yeah.
6 people, but they were a loyal 6.
They were. We went Facebook Live and
Had a
people
great time.
watched. We had a great time. People
And-
seemed to like what we were doing.
They seemed to like the vibe.
They did.
Which I think is important to mention here.
God, you're about to kill me with a knife.
For those of you at home, I'm brandishing a knife. Emphasizing my points, we're standing a solid 4 feet apart.
But he's just holding a knife up to me.
It's a very small kitchen. I'm gonna take this to the
And a very large knife.
Great. So, what we're doing here. I will say the first day we knew each other, the first day or the day before we started rehearsals for Hello Dolly, I remarked to Nicholas, even though we had not met before, we had this mutual connection in our friend Virginia, but we hadn't met before, I remarked to him, after a few hours of knowing each other, it sort of feels like we've known each other for a year and a half already.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So going Facebook Live to cook was not just, hey, we're roommates and we both have to eat at the same time. Let's do this to cut the tension. It ended up being a really cool thing and a really cool way to entertain ourselves and others. And from that, the Soy Boys were born.
That's true. A brief explanation on how Paul and I communicate with each other. It is
Sure.
almost entirely in impressions and accents,
Sure.
which is how the Soy Boy's name was. Oh, you are mincing
How
that
do you
garlic.
like that minced garlic?
Wow, you
Shout
are
out-
mincing.
Oh.
Hey.
I want to shout it out to my cousin Grant, who got me a garlic press for Christmas. His father did not know that's what I asked for and thought that Grant had given me an awful gift in a garlic press. He was like, Grant, what is wrong with you? And then thought it was the funniest thing ever when ultimately I was very excited to get a garlic press for Christmas. But I flew up to New York shortly afterward and didn't have the space to put it because garlic presses are heavier than I thought they were.
Are they
It's like
19 pounds?
more like 19 ounces.
Okay.
But I was really tight on space, so, I didn't want... It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. So
Accents
we,
and impressions. I love
we
heads
were.
up.
Oh my god, I love heads up. How did it start? I think we were just like going through what accents we just like talking in
It
accents.
wasn't even a formal, like, what's on your resume, I can be
Right.
Irish or Prussian.
You can be
Prussian was the accent that I used in Hello Dolly. I played Rudolph!
Oh.
I have been doing this bit for a few years, I know how it started, where I talk in what I cannot accurately say is an Australian accent. My apologies to my friend Charlie. Charlie, who is Australian, if you ever listen to this, I know it's not Australian. It's an exaggerated accent. It's so great.
So great.
And that's how we ended up speaking to each other for the 4 weeks of the contract, texting to each other in the subsequent months, and then when I greeted him in January with the title of the Soy Boys podcast, we knew it was the right thing.
Exactly.
Sure.
So Paul would say, "Oh, it's so great."
So
and
great.
me wanting to fit in and make friends,
Right.
I copy because that's how you make friends. Is you like
Imitation.
Imitation.
You know what the thing is with imitation? It's the sincerest form of flattery. And boy,
guy.
was I flattered.
This guy.
This guy.
So we would comment. We would do that back and forth. Look
Hey,
at
like
that. Look at that.
I'm gonna chop
and
some
then
chicken.
Our good friend Colin would try his darndest.
So great. I ended up with just enough chicken. Would you look at that?
Would you just look at that? Would you just look at it? What is that? What is that?
Would you just look at
Who
it?
is she?
It's almost like Carol Channing meets George H.W. Bush. Would you just look at it? No, Ronald Reagan. I got my presidents mixed up. Because Ronald Reagan...
I love the idea of Ronald Reagan just being Carol Channing meets George W. Bush.
Well, George W. Bush is, I'm a big fan. My dad does a lot of impressions, mostly presidents. And Ronald Reagan is, now there you go again. But Carol Channing is, round and around you go.
Your spirits will hit the top.
Rest in peace.
Oh, yikes.
Topical.
Oh,
So yeah.
wow.
So that covers us and who we are.
And how the Soy Boys came to be the Soy Boys.
And that's
Nicholas, I can say, I wouldn't rather be kitching and the cooking with anyone else.
You want to try that sentence again?
I realized that I messed up, and then I just decided to go with it. I wouldn't rather be cooking in the kitchen with anyone else.
I'd rather be cooking in the kitchen. Name that musical.
That musical would be Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of
I'm
1812.
so sorry. It's actually Miss Saigon.
So, folks, what you're missing
What you
is
don't
a
wanna do
game we
is,
play called Name That Musical. It goes like this. Two people, one of which quotes a musical, and then says, name that musical. And the guess of what the musical is has to be way wrong, and the answer also has to be way wrong. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say, do you hear the people sing? Name that musical.
Oh, that would be my favorite musical ever. School of Rock.
Sorry, it's Moving Out.
Oh, okay.
Incidentally, a dream show of mine. I would love to be the guy who sings all the songs in Moving Out. Go ahead, get into the drawer. I know you need
I'm
it.
not going into the drawer, Paul. God, you always do this to me. You always ask if I'm going into the drawer. And
What
I'm
are you
never
looking
going.
for?
I'm looking for the strainer.
Okay.
I found it.
I love that thing. The thing with holes there?
I feel like you're passive-aggressively calling me an idiot.
No. So let's take some questions. Hold on, I need to finish chopping.
Can I keep cooking?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I had to stop.
Okay, I think
This is
we're going to
brilliant.
end up cutting
Paul,
there.
You're a genius.
Thank you so much. What you missed is Nicholas was straining his linguini. Is that what it
Yes,
is?
that's correct.
And got out the world's smallest strainer to do it. And I said, we have this thing. I had never used one before moving in.
Never known what this is.
But our wonderful subletters have this. It's basically a curved cooking tool that you put up to a pot of presumably water and pasta or vegetables that you've steamed. And you can, instead of pouring those vegetables into a strainer in the sink, you can just hold this thing up to the pot and pour the water out, but keep the stuff in the pot.
Yes. I'm sure there's a name for it that we don't know.
A handle strainer.
A handle strainer.
The handy strainer.
So, now that we've talked about what's on our minds,
Let's delve into what's on the minds of our listeners. Let's hope they're listening.
well, no one's listened yet
Sure.
because it doesn't exist yet.
Right. Are you okay if I use this eye?
Please do.
What about these two?
That's called an eye?
That was a visual joke for those of you podcast listeners. I was pointing at the stove and I said, hey, do you mind if I use this eye, as in the eye on the stove? And then I said, would you mind if I use these two eyes? And then I pointed to the ones on my face.
So
Let's take some questions.
let's take some questions. We polled our friends and family and
Sure.
our coworkers,
Right.
and got some questions. This first question comes from Elise. She's my coworker and she was my roommate for 2 months.
Oh, wow.
And she asks, "You guys have such different interests, and it is awesome." Thank you, Elise.
Thank you, Elise.
How do you feel that you got so close?
How do we feel that we got so close?
Yes. So, I think we focused more on our similarities
Sure.
than our differences, but we embrace the differences.
I mean, life is full of meeting people who are different from you, and I think the important thing is to find the ways in which you are similar. That's what you just said.
But yours was a lot more eloquent and
really-
sounded better.
I tried to rephrase it, and I really couldn't.
So my linguini is done. I'm just tossing it in some olive oil, and then I'm going to throw some tomato sauce in it. ASMR. Everyone just stopped listening. The ways that we are different, I think the biggest, not the biggest one, but one of the big ones is Paul is a sports guy.
Sure.
I know of sports.
You've
I know
heard of
that
them.
they exist.
I mean,
and
you're
I
from
know,
the Midwest.
I know people play them.
Sure.
I don't know who plays them.
I did once upon a time.
Or I played soccer for like 5 years.
How do you feel about that?
I was really good.
Were you actually?
I actually was.
I believe you.
I was center mid and goalie.
Oh, wow. I don't even know what that first one means.
The position that runs the most and the position that runs the least.
Cool.
And I would play them in the same game.
Great.
So it's really fun.
Ooh, I didn't make any more taco seasoning.
Oh. I'm throwing in some red peppercorn flakes now.
Throwing in some red peppercorn flakes. I'm sort of a content creator. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
That jingle that was at the beginning that doesn't actually exist at the time of recording?
The jingle that you heard doesn't currently exist. That's what you just said.
I like this. I like these guys.
I don't know who they are, but man, we're getting to know them.
I'm
gonna saute some things.
I don't really know. I've never added red peppercorn flakes in. Don't tell me. I want to fail on my own.
That's so many.
You know, we're going for it.
I mean, you're gonna add some other flavors that'll balance it out. I'm just gonna saute.
There are some other flavors going in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, listen to that crackle.
Man, I didn't think about this.
This is the moment that we figure out if this podcast works or not.
Yes. I'm standing as far away from this pan as possible.
So I think, Elise, to answer your question, we focus on the similarities, not the differences.
I love the fact that we're different in
I
the
do
ways
too.
that we are. I think sometimes it's really easy to clash with people if you're the exact same.
Well,
You know.
we as a species, as humans,
Wow.
we're
doing it.
just to, talk.
Sure.
We're like, we like to be the best, And so when you're with someone that's exactly like you, there's some, competition,
Right.
But when you have two guys who are, different, then you make a podcast.
You do.
Welcome.
Hi, this is the Soy Boys. My name is Paul.
So, that's Paul.
A lot of things on our plate right now.
We're learning.
We're learning. And we can tweak it in post.
We can tweak everything in post.
Can we take another question?
Let's do it. So this next question comes from Kat B.
Sure.
She says, and I'm gonna do this as what I've never seen a picture of this girl. I don't know what she looks like or sounds like.
Right.
But this is how I imagine her.
Right.
I guess you could talk about the evolution of musical theater. How was it?
That's kind of similar.
Yes.
That was her exact phrasing.
That's what she wrote.
Make sure that I captured her essence. Out of context, Cat B does kind of sound like one of the Spice Girls, almost was, but didn't quite make the cut. The name Cat B, not this person's personality.
Okay.
Not to drag her in this podcast.
I think that's enough chicken.
Incidentally, I think Cat would
Look
make a
at
great
all
Spice Girl.
those chickens.
I guess you could talk about the evolution of musical theater. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, that is what we're doing.
Okay,
that
cool.
That smells like
Does it smell
sauteed
great?
peppers and onions.
Something
Garlic.
interesting to note for this podcast, folks, and something that I bet is going to come up a lot, is that yours truly, Paul, I don't have the greatest sense of smell. In fact,
That's
I don't
true.
have a great one at all. And Nicholas just said that smells like sauteed peppers.
and onions with
Right.
garlic.
And
So,
I smell nothing.
it smells very good.
Does it? Thank you so much.
It does. You're soy welcome.
Thank you so much.
Soy welcome.
I would actually love to get your opinions on this, because I think musical theater is one of the things we haven't delved into as much as friends as some of the other things.
I think so too.
And I know that, you went to a Dear Evan Hansen class today. You're
I
obviously
did.
a fan of the modern musicals.
I
I would love
did.
to hear your take.
I am going to talk at the exact moment that you talk for the rest of your life.
It's going to make for a fun honeymoon.
Um,
Do you mind if I use some of your oil?
please do.
Oh my god. Thanks so much.
I am much more of a fan of contemporary musical theater. Golden Age is not really my thing.
Sure.
I appreciate it and I see it and I enjoy it, but I want to work more in contemporary musical theater because I think that's more so more where my talents lie.
Right. I see that.
So you're saying I'm bad at Golden Age?
No,
Is
I'm
that what
saying
you're-
we met in a Golden Age show. You played Barnaby Tucker in My Fair Lady. I almost said My Fair Lady. That's wrong. My Fair Dolly.
My Fair Dolly.
Hello, lady! We're talking here about the evolution of musical theater.
Yeah.
And I would love to get your opinion on how we got from shows like Hello Dolly to shows like Dear Evan Hansen.
Well, I think the
Something I did not consider until the moment the peppers touched the pan was how
Sizzling.
will affect the microphones. I'm gonna scrape up all this fond.
That's a cooking word.
Pretty fond! I got excited.
For those of you at home who can't see what's happening.
Or here.
Or here. The
Or smell.
trash can just popped open.
And it
Paul
was because...
said, I'm feeling excited.
I'm gonna cut the heat. Wait, everyone, relax.
Whoa. Can you hear the chicken sing? Singing the song of...
So let's come back in. We're talking about the history of musical theater. And I think it's important to note, one of my personal beliefs is I think that Hair is one of the most important musicals of all time.
I think it is actually Mame.
You think it's Mame? You think Mame is...
No.
Mame. Of the three most prominent Jerry Herman shows, Mame is...
The most.
It's in a hot third place for your boy. I
Why
think
do
that
you think
two of the most important musicals of all time are Cabaret and Hair. And I think it's important to note that they came out around the same time. Cabaret won the Tony for Best Musical in 1967. And Hair lost the Tony for Best Musical in 1969. Do you know what musical it lost to?
1969.
Yes. Hint, it's another year.
1776.
Yes. Yes! And I think it's
Sorry.
really interesting to note that a musical about the war that was happening in 1969 and pushed some boundaries lost Best Musical to one that was talking about the first war our country experienced.
The first war in the history of the world, actually.
Well, no, we didn't deal with the Crusades in 1776.
Irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
You're
An elephant.
What about Oklahoma?
I think Oklahoma is important for the evolution of what we know now as the book musical.
Right, but if we're talking about, like, the evolution of musical theater,
Sure.
Oklahoma is very important.
Yes. Well, tell the folks at home why.
Because it was the first musical that incorporated the songs into the songs drove plot, and so Oklahoma allowed storytelling to be in the songs as well.
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
Now you don't see musicals. I can't name one that's recent that does not do that.
What about a song cycle?
Those aren't musicals, they're song cycles.
Okay. What about Smokey Joe's Cafe?
I actually don't know it too well.
It's just music.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So anyway. But the case for Hair and Cabaret, as it were. Cabaret, I think, made way for Hair in a bit. Of course, we had delved in politics in musicals before Fiorello being one of them. I think some of the most important musicals now delve into topics. You made a face as you bit into linguini.
A lot of mouth sounds happened.
Mouth sounds. If you're a fan of mouth sounds.
Small mouth sounds. Playing now at every regional house in America.
Hair. I think without Hair...
I'm gonna live forever.
Mame. I'm gonna live forever. I think without Hair, you don't have Rent because of the rock and roll styles.
Mm-hmm.
A show about younger people of the time,
Yeah.
and Rent paved the way for what I think we know now as modern musical theater. Without Rent, it's a lot harder to do something like Next to Normal. Without Rent, you don't have Spring Awakening. A direct connection without Rent, you don't have In the Heights. Without In the Heights, you don't have Hamilton, which I think saved musical theater.
Yes. I think those are great points.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
We're winding down our cooking here. My chicken and peppers are done. I'm making up a little sauce to go on top of them.
What's in that sauce?
So basically it's a sriracha mayo with a dash of Frank's Red Hot, but what I'm going to do, taking notes from some online cooking shows into how some fast food places make their sauce, I'm actually going to add some of my taco seasoning, homemade, directly to this sauce to kind of marry it between your average sriracha mayo and the seasonings that I have in this taco. It looks like Thousand Island dressing. I love this like salmon color that's every ambiguous sauce ever. And I still have some
That's a
taco
great band name. Ambiguous Sauce.
Hey folks, we're every ambiguous sauce ever. Respect your parents! Yow! Who's that guy?
Who is that guy? Anyway.
His name is Jared Jones. I'm gonna toast my tortillas.
Toast them.
And then maybe we'll come back and do a little wrap-up.
Yeah.
Pro tip for those of you cooking at home, if you're making tacos, toast your tortillas. If you're making anything that goes in like a bread type container, if you're making burgers, toast your buns. If you're making any sort of like turkey sandwich, why not if you're making any sort of turkey sandwich, why not pop that bread into the toaster oven or just the toaster?
So
I'm ready to plate here.
You should plate it up. I finished like 45 minutes ago because I made linguini.
Spaghetti. Linguini. Banana by the bunch. Shout out to Rent Live. Big fan of Vanessa Hudgens. I realized yesterday that Vanessa Hudgens was my first celebrity crush, but it happened at an age where I was unable to process what a celebrity crush was. I was 11 watching High School Musical, like, this is what I want. This is not what I want.
This is not what I planned. And I just gotta say,
I do not. I was waiting for you to
I do not understand.
How'd you like that harmony? I'm an actor. So to end up our show here, we're going to have a little post-mortem. In theater, post-mortem is used differently from the medical world because hopefully people don't die in your show. In theater, a post-mortem is a meeting that happens with a production staff after a production where they talk about what went well and what could have gone better in the mounting and run of a show. And since we're theater folks, I figured having a little post-mortem about our cooking experiences would be a nice way to wrap up. So, Nicholas, do you have anything that you learned from your making of your linguini today?
I think it takes a lot less time than I thought.
It's linguini.
It's okay. Calm down. The red pepper cornflakes, there was a nice amount. Wasn't too much.
It wasn't too much?
Wasn't too much.
I was worried. I mean, it depends on how you handle heat.
I'm a tough boy.
I'm a tough boy.
I'm a tough boy.
You.
I handle heat. I'm not like, I don't love heat, but like...
You don't seek it out.
I don't seek heat, but like, if there is heat, I'm not gonna like cry like a wimp.
You're like a green shell, not a red shell. You're not heat seeking. But if Bowser breathes fire on you,
then I die.
Great. So
can I have a little nibble of some of that chicken?
You want to try this chicken?
I really do.
So this is a
small piece.
Homemade spice blend. I don't know how moist it's going to be. Does it taste
pretty moist?
Does it taste good?
Mm-hmm.
This is a homemade spice blend. My post-mortem, this is something that I've been making for a long time. It's the first thing that I taught myself how to make in college when my parents weren't cooking for me, and I knew I couldn't have macaroni and cheese for every meal, despite really, really wanting to. So I would cut up some chicken and some peppers and onions, and I would just make little fajitas. And that means that this is a recipe I've been making for about 6 years, because that's how long it's been since I started college. It's very different from how I started it. I mean, there's minced garlic in this. I made my own spread for the tacos, like kind of a mayonnaise-based, almost a sandwich spread. And instead of topping the tacos with this spread, I put them on the bottom so they would provide kind of like a base, but they wouldn't overpower too much. And there's just my post-mortem thoughts are that even if it's something you've made for a long time, there are always ways to change it, and ways to learn. No one is ever done growing, you know.
No one is alone.
Believe me.
That would be Sunday in the Park with George.
Sure, it's glory days. On Broadway now. Oops. Never mind.
Oh.
I wanted to wrap up here by encouraging you all to cook what scares you.
In the kitchen and in life.
That's perfect. In the kitchen.
We didn't plan any of this.
We didn't plan it. We can't keep playing Name That Musical. Let's wrap this up by saying thank you for tuning into the Soy Boys, and cook brave.
We're the Soy Boys. Soy great.